Y&R Spoilers reveal that no one expected the appearance of a mysterious man to upset all the long-established rules in the business world and their complex intertwined personal relationships. Cain returned with a completely different appearance, mature, cold and powerful, no longer the vulnerable man tormented by past mistakes but instead a new symbol of confidence, depth and potential danger. No one in Genoa could realize that under the illustrious name Aristotle Dumas, who controls an entire mysterious empire, is the man who emerged from the broken Winters family and nurtured in his heart the desire to prove himself, to redeem the past with outstanding success. This is what makes Amanda pay more attention, because the sharp hints she received when returning to Genoa City were not just rumors but a long series of clues, connecting seemingly unrelated people together. Amanda's return was not as simple as a normal visit. It seemed that she held the key to unlocking the biggest secret of the year, when she began to mention details that could only be known by someone who was very close to Neil Winters. The emotional praise of Neil, about the values he left for the community and the Winters family, was not just polite respect but also had a sincere color, understanding deep in the soul of the speaker. Amanda skillfully used her knowledge to gradually lead those around her to believe that Aristotle Dumas was not simply a mysterious investor, but also someone who possessed vivid memories of Neil's glorious period, about the pain and ups and downs that only insiders could fully feel. Cain, under the guise of Dumas, chose to approach Genoa with caution and calculation. He watches Sally's every move, a woman full of charisma with a fierce personality, not afraid to face challenges and always ready to overcome all limits to achieve what she wants. Between them flares up a fierce connection that no one can control, both dangerous and sweet, like a smoldering fire burning under the ashes, just waiting for the right moment to burst into a fire that destroys all barriers. Cain is drawn to Sally's attraction not only by her beauty or charm but also by her ability to understand, her intelligence, her quickness, and the way Sally sees through the secrets he hides. He cannot imagine that this woman is the key to help him discover himself, face the darkness of the past and aspire to a future no longer bound by guilt. Amanda, with the sharp eyes of a lawyer and a heart still full of unanswered questions, decides to delve deeper into the intricate connections between Dumas and the Winters family. Every step she takes is aimed at lifting the veil of secrecy that covers the lives of those who were once closest to her. It is this unexpected return that makes old friends like Lily bewildered. Lily feels the change in everyone around her, especially when the praise for Winters increases. The stories about Neil are repeated with details that can only belong to insiders. She begins to suspect that someone is playing a big game, where each move can change the fate of an entire family. Dumas cannot hide his respect for Neil Winters, despite always hiding his true identity. He spends time participating in community events, quietly supporting the social projects that Neil once pursued, creating positive effects that attract the attention of the whole city of Genoa. This further fuels speculation about the deep connection between Dumas and the Winters family members, especially Lily, who had a troubled past with Cain and is now facing an indescribable emotion as the shadow of someone familiar keeps flickering in her mind. There are times when Lily believes she recognizes that look, that smile, those familiar gestures that only belong to Cain, but she dares not face the truth because of the fear of being hurt again. Meanwhile, Sally, with her courage and will of steel, does not falter in the face of the challenges that lie ahead. She is willing to take risks, rushing into a relationship with Dumas, a mysterious man who is attracting all the attention of the business world. The love story between Sally and Cain/Dumas becomes more complicated as they face conspiracies, brutal competition, and burning emotions beyond their control. Every eye contact, every brief exchange was enough to ignite the flames of passion, making Sally, despite all warnings, ready to rush into an adventure with a man she wasn't sure if she could completely trust. It is only a matter of time before the truth about Dumas and Cain's true identity is revealed, especially as Amanda gets closer and closer to this secret. She discovers a series of small signs that others may miss, from the way Dumas talks, gestures, to deep understanding of Winters' inner workings. The conversations, the implicit eye contact between Amanda and Dumas become more and more dense, like a mind game in which anyone who is careless will become the loser. Amanda understands that peeling away Dumas' cover is not only an act of searching for the truth, but also a way for her to prevent her loved ones from being hurt by years of deception and lies. In addition, the appearance of Billy Flynn as Cain makes everything more tense and attractive than ever. With a strong demeanor, cold eyes but hidden with much pain, Cain is now no longer the weak man who lost everything because of personal mistakes. He is the man behind the Dumas empire, the man who can control the situation of big deals, and also the man who carries within himself a journey of redemption that no one knows about. Cain's return makes those who were close to him look back at themselves, wondering if they ever truly understood this man, or will forever be outsiders witnessing him struggle with fate. With each passing day, the undercurrent between Sally and Cain becomes more intense, bringing with it many consequences and unforeseeable dangers. It is not just a passionate love, between them is also a struggle of trust, of courage and forgiveness. Sally must choose between rushing into the vortex of passion with a mysterious man, or stepping back to protect herself from the pain that once made her miserable. But once she falls in love, Sally realizes that nothing can stop her from moving forward, even when all the secrets are revealed, even when that man turns out to be Cain, the man who has broken many hearts, but is also the one who is trying to fix all the mistakes of the past. Amanda continues to delve into the journey to discover the truth, facing the dangers lurking behind each secret. She understands that bringing to light Dumas' true identity will shock not only the Winters family, but also directly affect Sally, a woman who is immersed in love with a man she does not really know. Amanda is torn between her loyalty to Lily and her desire to bring justice to all, even at the cost of her own personal happiness. In that context, everyone has their own choices, their own paths, and no one knows what is waiting at the end of the road. The connection between Dumas and Winters is increasingly evident, like an invisible thread that binds all their fates together. Cain, under the guise of a successful businessman, is still a tormented man, constantly searching for forgiveness and a chance to start over. Sally, no matter how strong she is, cannot help but be moved by the man's eyes that contain so many thoughts. Amanda, with all her reason and emotion, is still caught up in the vortex of secrets that are never easy to resolve. And so the story continues to unfold, with drama, passion, wits and hope. No one can predict what their fate will be when all the secrets are gradually revealed, when trust is tested to the extreme, and when each person has to face themselves, choose their own path in the maze of emotions, lies and love that never easily finds an end. In a world of secrets, ambitions, and dreams that never quite come true like Genoa City, happiness is always the most fragile and easily broken thing, especially for those who have experienced too much loss. Sally and Billy have long been a couple that many people envy because of their understanding and the passionate moments they once had, but no one knows that even what seems to be the most solid can crack before the storms of real life. Where everything can change overnight, with just an unrevealed secret or a sudden glance between two strangers. In recent days, the atmosphere between Sally and Billy has become strange. There are no longer dates filled with laughter, hasty handshakes in the company hallway, or petty disagreements that are resolved with a tight hug at the end of the day. Instead, there were long silences, probing looks, wordless questions and a growing obsession with distance. Billy, caught up in the whirlwind of ambition, pressure and constant power struggles with the Newmans, seemed to no longer have enough strength and time to listen to Sally's confidences, to realize that the woman who used to be his whole world was gradually withdrawing, quietly looking for a new shoulder, a more solid support in the cold business world. Sally knew she was gradually changing. She was no longer the woman who was easily satisfied with Billy's distant promises, with his small concerns in the dark. The pressure from work, the loneliness in her own relationship and the desire to be recognized and loved really make Sally more sensitive, more vulnerable, but also urge her to make a choice for her own life, instead of waiting for a miracle that never comes from Billy. And then, like an unexpected arrangement of fate, Sally meets Cain. A man completely different from everyone she has ever known. Cain appears in Sally's life like a big question mark, both attractive and dangerous, both close and mysterious. He is not like Billy, not noisy, not ostentatious, nor trying to impress with empty promises. In Cain is the calmness of an experienced person, the hurt and the desire to start over, even if it means trading with everything he has. This made Sally curious, unable to help but be attracted, even though deep down she was still afraid of the feelings that were growing every day. At first, between Sally and Cain, there were only passing conversations, chance encounters in the company hallway, hasty glances, full of hidden meanings. Both understood that they were on the fragile line between loyalty and betrayal, between the desire to live true to their emotions and the fear of hurting others. But as time went on, the chemical challenge between them became more and more evident, like a smoldering fire burning under the ashes of torment and suffering. Without saying anything, just a look, a slight smile was enough for both of them to feel a special connection that they had never had with anyone before. The chemical tests, both literal and figurative, that Sally and Cain had to go through in the work environment also gradually revealed the truth about the nature of this relationship. Every time they worked together, Sally found Cain to be the perfect teammate, someone who listened, respected her opinions, and always made her feel important, unlike the feeling of being ignored with Billy. Together they solved difficult problems, faced pressure from their leaders, and sometimes even had to fight against false rumors about their office relationship. All of this made the feelings between them stronger and harder to control, as if they were destined to find each other at the exact moment when both were at their weakest and most vulnerable. Meanwhile, Billy became more and more distant, immersed in his own calculations, leaving Sally with her nameless loneliness. He did not know that each passing day was little by little Sally moving away from him, little by little her heart turned to another man, someone who could listen, could share, and most importantly, could see Sally as she really was, not as an addition to Billy's life but as Sally herself, with all her passion, aspirations, and very human weaknesses. However, Sally still had fierce internal struggles. She understood that letting her emotions go beyond the limit would be no different from an unforgivable betrayal. She used to despise liars, used to hate people who only knew how to live for themselves and forgot about the feelings of others. So, Sally struggled with herself more and more. Would she continue to stick with Billy, trying to save a relationship that was on the brink of collapse, or would she choose to be honest with her heart, bravely walk towards Cain, even though she knew that the path was full of criticism, slander, and the fear of turning herself into a despicable third person? Things gradually reached a climax when Sally could no longer bear the broken promises, the lonely evenings in the house that used to be a happy home. She began to avoid Billy, using work as an excuse to leave early and come home late, disguising her emotions with polite smiles, but her eyes always contained an indescribable sadness. Billy, though indifferent, finally recognized the unstable signals from Sally, but instead of asking and sharing, he buried himself even more in work, even not hesitating to seek useless entertainment just to fill the void in his cracked soul. Meanwhile, Sally and Cain grew closer and closer. Late one night, when they both stayed late at work, amidst the steady hum of the air conditioner and the yellow light of the empty office, Sally couldn't help but feel her true feelings. She cried, for the first time in a long time, not because she was sad, but because she felt relieved that someone was actually listening to her. Cain was there for her, comforting her, not judging her, not forcing her. In that moment, all barriers seemed to disappear. A light touch, a tight hug, and then everything exploded, a fierce fire of passion, sweeping away all hesitation, all remaining reason. The next morning, Sally woke up in Cain's arms, bewildered and torn between guilt and nameless happiness. She knew she had crossed the line of loyalty, had become the person she once despised. But at the same time, Sally also understood that this was the first time in many years that she truly felt like she was being true to herself, daring to love, daring to hurt, and daring to take responsibility for her choices. From then on, things became extremely complicated. The love triangle between Billy, Sally, and Cain became the talk of the company, even spreading to the whole city. Sally knew she could no longer hide the truth, so she took the initiative to meet Billy to say goodbye, frankly admitting that the feelings between them were no longer intact as before. Billy, although surprised, eventually understood that sometimes letting go was the best way to free both of them, so that each person could find their own happiness, no longer clinging to each other just because of old memories. As for Cain, he had no regrets for entering Sally's life when she needed him most. They don't know what the future holds, they don't know if they can overcome the challenges, the harsh looks of the world, but they know that at least in that moment, they were brave enough to love, brave enough to be true to their feelings, and brave enough to face the inevitable consequences. So, did Sally cheat on Billy with Cain, or did she break up before sleeping with Cain? In situations like this, the line between right and wrong, between betrayal and honesty is sometimes just a moment, a choice, a courage to face one's true feelings. But no matter what, life in Genoa City continues, with intertwined relationships, undercurrents that never calm down, where love, betrayal, forgiveness, and even the deepest wounds are always the strongest catalysts for all tragedies and hopes for true happiness, no matter how fragile. At this point, the biggest question is not only whether Sally is a good choice for Cain, but also whether Cain is brave enough to let go of the past, open his heart to accept new feelings completely, and whether Sally is truly willing to forgive Cain's secrets and hidden games. Deep down, both of them know that to be together, they need to overcome many challenges, from the truth about their identities, the torment of trust to the pressure from those around them and even their own fear. For Lily, the disappointment with Cain is not simply a temporary anger. It is a lasting wound, a feeling of betrayal when the trust and safety of the Winters company, the last symbol of her family, is put in danger by power games, by selfishness, and lack of transparency from the person she once trusted the most. But that time of anger is also an opportunity for Lily to look back at herself, to understand what is really important and whether she is brave enough to forgive, to start over again. Meanwhile, Cain understands that if he wants to get Lily back, he cannot rely on humor, superficial charm, or harmless jokes. He must truly change, must dare to face the past, be willing to give up secrets and put on the scale all the values he has pursued. If he cannot give Lily absolute safety and trust, all efforts will be meaningless. Their story continues like that, with countless turns and choices. Billy Flynn in his new role brings Cain a strong, cold appearance but also full of charm and courage. He becomes the center of all doubts, curiosity, and admiration from the women around him. Sally, with her independent, strong personality and passionate heart, is the only one who can see behind the masks a wounded person, longing to be loved and forgiven. Their relationship, despite many uncertainties, is the support for each person to overcome their own limits and dare to face all challenges. Behind all the arguments, anger, and uncompromising battles of wits, is the journey of maturity of each character, the endless search for self, true happiness, and the meaning of forgiveness. When the whole truth about Dumas is revealed, when there is nothing left to hide, who will dare to hold hands and move on, who will choose to let go, and who will realize that all suffering and hurt are just the premise for maturity, to learn how to love and be loved most completely. The sky of Genoa City is as calm as ever, but inside each person is a never-ending storm, where each choice, each secret revealed can change the fate of a family, a company, even a life. And so, their story continues, vivid, profound, full of unexpected turns, challenges and strong hopes for a better tomorrow for all.